Hello and welcome to A Wild Idea, brought to you by Wildflower International. I'm your host, Andrew Balsarini, and I'm happy to dive into this exciting episode titled AIOps in Action, Accelerating IT Modernization and Service Excellence in Federal Agencies. Now today, we'll explore how advanced AI-driven approaches are revolutionizing IT management across government sectors. And just in case, for those who may be unfamiliar with the acronym AIOps, it stands for Artificial Intelligence for IT Operations. Now, federal government agencies are grappling with numerous challenges, including aging legacy systems, highly manual workflows, and growing resource constraints, all at a time when expectations for transparency, agility, and high-quality citizen services are on the rise. Now, in this environment, agencies not only have to optimize IT budgets and streamline vendor management, but also modernize reporting structures and analytics frameworks to enable timely, data-driven decisions. Now, effective IT portfolio oversight has become crucial, as has the drive to grow internal IT capabilities to keep pace with rapid technological advances. Moreover, as digital transformation accelerates, agencies must thoughtfully adopt and govern innovative technologies like AI and automation to deliver greater efficiency, security, and customer satisfaction. The pressure to support mission-critical operations while reducing risk and maintaining compliance is higher than ever. Fortunately, to delve into these issues and explore how AIOps is being leveraged for real impact, I'm thrilled to welcome our esteemed guest, Tarek Radwan, Director of Product Marketing at Juniper Networks. Tarek, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. We certainly appreciate the time. Thank you for joining us in this important conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
AIOps is a very interesting topic, and a lot of energy is being put behind it. I'm wondering, Tarek, if you could spend a few minutes to chat with us and explain about exactly what is AIOps and why is it becoming so critical for federal IT environments?
Of course, yeah. By now, most people are really tired of even hearing about AI. It's been so over talked about. A lot of people use it in their messaging. Everybody's claiming they have AI. And so there's really this sense of fatigue. But let's step back and talk about what the world was like, say, 4 or 5 years ago, especially when it comes to IT operations. Most of these operations demanded a team that was really adroit at running networks in a very manual and very sort of conventional approach. They would dial into the CLI to see what was going on in the network, to look at device levels and see what's happening with traffic across the Wi-Fi, the switching across the WAN. And so a lot of these manual operations, they seemed to work, but they really didn't scale. And so what we did was we introduced the concept of automation. And AI is nothing more than the next evolution in automation. What does it do? It uses the ability to gather information about the system, about that domain, whether it's the wireless or the WAN, what's happening with jitter and latency on the WAN, and building models that start to understand what this traffic looks like. And so by doing so, we're not essentially replacing network engineers who would do the same thing, but we're removing some of that repetitive rote activity and having a computer do it. And so we've built these models that can accurately understand when the network was not behaving properly and ultimately leading to poor user experiences. And so what AIOps does is it makes it easier for IT teams to manage and operate those networks. And so one of the things that I also want to touch on is the fact that the way that AI has been talked about more recently, it's around this notion of Gen AI and Chat GPT. The Gen in Gen AI refers to generative in the fact that they can generate a lot of interesting outputs. And there's also this idea that it's tied to a general AI, an AI that can do a lot. And seemingly seems like it could solve world problems. However, the way that Juniper has been on this path is that we've been focusing and using what we would like to refer to as narrow AI to understand specific network domain problems and apply AI to solve those problems. And so at the end of the day, again, it's about the end user experience. It's about simplifying those operations for our network engineers. And again, it's something that a network engineer can certainly do. They can identify these issues, but an AI and a model that's well trained can do that much better, much more efficiently than a human can.
So we're talking about, federal government, obviously. So what are some of the biggest challenges that federal agencies are facing today in managing just their IT infrastructure?
Federal agencies are definitely facing all sorts of challenges, and we talk about the drive to modernize. Along with every other organization out there, whether private or federal, everybody needs to modernize their network. At a minimum, to adopt new devices. If we think about how we need to get that latest smartphone, how am I going to support that new technology on outdated old infrastructure? It doesn't work well. And in some extreme examples, some of the systems might still be using old technologies like COBOL, to drive important civil services. And so modernizing is one area that's really important. Another is around ensuring security and zero trust in the network, making sure that, in addition to all the various, malicious actors out there, there's also state actors that they have to deal with. Also, the idea of cloud. Cloud is a big deal for government. Cloud brings a lot of benefits and a lot of advantages. And it's definitely the way that we're moving forward technologically. It's all based on cloud. The reason that we have AI today is because of cloud. That is the root sort of enabling technology. And of course, the idea of simplifying the operations. Government IT teams are short-staffed. There's no question about it. It's an issue that everybody faces. And all the other things that I just described compound and make it harder for those teams to scale their operations and try to essentially keep up with all of these demands. And definitely one area that hits the federal organizations is the need to comply with federal mandates and certifications and things like that. And so I definitely want to talk a little bit more about the idea of modernizing, because the ramifications around that are like the higher bandwidth that's required, the more devices, more unknowns. And that kind of leads into the security and making sure that you have zero trust. And then, as I mentioned before, the simplification. This is so critical in order to deliver that great user experience. And when I talk about experience, it's not just for the end users, for those services that the government offers, but also for the IT teams themselves, making it simpler for them to run the network, to troubleshoot issues, and to provide that great user experience. So these are key, I would say, 5 areas that are very important to government in tackling these challenges.
Well, every time I talk to you guys, it's overwhelming to me. But can you walk us through a real world example of how AIOps has improved operations for a federal agency, specifically with compliance, cybersecurity, and mission critical uptime? And if you can, just what kind of an ROI could be expected if in fact they adopted or implemented a Juniper Mist environment? I mean, that's a lot of questions, I know, but
Yeah, I'll try to address as much as I can. One example is I'll just talk about a government agency that we're working with currently, and that's the Federal Affairs Administration, the VA. The VA hospital system is a great example of not only mission critical, but life critical agency, in that it's not just one of the largest agencies in the federal government, but it's also, if not the largest, healthcare provider in America. And so it's a combination of a lot of the demands that come into play when it comes to healthcare. You have high-tech equipment, things that are life-saving, the need for all the data that comes out of these machines, X-ray machines, CT machines, and then connecting all that data in a safe and secure way. And so the VA was one of the early adopters of our solution which is cloud delivered and AI driven as well. And the thing that really struck a chord with them was the ability for the AI to identify issues and make it easier for them to operate the network and troubleshoot problems that arise. One example is we have this notion of SLEs, the service level expectations. And this is a way to kind of define and measure what is the user experience on that network. And I'll give you a really simple example of how they were able to make use of this. And that's around the Wi-Fi. So they initially deployed our Wi-Fi solution. And what they found was that through the SLEs, whenever users were having issues, they can simply go into any one of these SLEs that define things like the time it took for a user to connect to the network, or the authentication that has to happen. Was it a success or not? And if not, why? And what the AI does is it correlates some of the things around the attributes of that connection, around that network, and identifies. For example, say it was a Mac device versus a Windows machine, or it's an iPhone versus an Android device. It can start to correlate and understand specific issues and bucket them and correlate them with the failure rate. And so if all of a sudden all the Windows machines were not connecting, they simply go into the SLEs and see that right away. And that will, of course, shortcut any type of troubleshooting that they have to do. They already see that, you eliminate the Mac books as being part of the issue. It's only related to Windows machines. And we have an example of this where one of our customers thought the Wi-Fi was down. The Wi-Fi wasn't working. And so sure enough, when we went in and looked at the SLEs, we saw that, in fact, it was the Windows machines that were all failing. And then finally, one of the IT people in that room, who was in this war room trying to troubleshoot what's going on, they said, oh, we forgot to update the certs on all the devices, the Windows certifications. And sure enough, that was the issue. So this is an example where the AI was able to help them troubleshoot and root cause that issue right away. But not only that, we have this notion of actions. We call them Marvis actions, where the AI is constantly scanning for things, troubles on the network that are causing issues and bubbling them up, surfacing those issues proactively, allowing teams to understand what are issues that are likely causing usability and experience issues on the network. And so this is a great example through the VA where they recognize the ability of AI delivered by Juniper to make their lives easier and to deliver a network that supports, again, mission critical, life critical devices and environments that led to better patient outcomes, better doctor experiences and nurse experiences and staff experiences at the hospital. And of course, it led them to adopt more in terms of the things that Juniper can offer.
Oh, well, that was a fantastic example. In Wildflower International, obviously, we are a Juniper Networks federal elite partner, but at the same time, we do represent we have other partners that have maybe play in a similar space. So we try to be agnostic, but at the same time, what makes Juniper Mist stand out for federal agencies with all the different competitive solutions that may be out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the things that make it really fit well for federal agencies is what makes it really fit well with any type of customer. The way that Juniper and Mist took the approach to developing and building its AI capabilities was that we started with a clean sheet. We didn't go the bolt-on route. We started with a fresh approach where we built the cloud from the ground up in a modern microservices architecture. And that allows us to make full use of all what the cloud has to offer. And so the difference is, imagine that if you had to run this AI in an underpowered, say, a CPU on your phone, you can only go to a certain point before you start to run out of resources and horsepower. The cloud, you can kind of think of it as almost infinite in terms of its capacity to handle the type of data and to support these models that we're training and that we're using. And so that alone is one of the major advantages where Juniper was able to get ahead of our competitors. The other thing is how we helped to train the models. And what we did was we took an approach where we joined the customer success teams, the folks who are out there listening to the customers and understanding their issues, with the data scientist teams, who were experts on their own in terms of developing these models, but they needed that domain expertise. And not only that, so that they weren't just solving some interesting science projects, they were solving true customer issues. And so this was a success formula that has served us really well. We were automatically solving the major issues, starting with the Wi-Fi, going on to switching, going out to the WAN, introducing things like cloud network access control, and bringing it all in such a way that it's all integrated in one platform delivered from the cloud that simplifies the operations. And once again, it gives you that cloud scale to scale with the sheer size of federal government agencies. And so that alone allows us to continue to develop a lot of amazing and interesting technologies. And I'd love to talk about one or two of them, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for example, we have this idea of minis, Marvis minis. In addition to the actions that I described, those actions arise when the network is put to use. So when a user tries to connect and there's an issue, the AI will recognize that and bubble it up as an action. But say you don't have users, and then you might have a hidden issue that is going to arise when that next user connects or does some action on the network. The concept of minis is that we start to mimic that behavior of actual users and actual devices. And so minis are sort of like these agents that run around the network and kind of push and prod and push the network to its abilities. And it helps to uncover issues in the network, say following a configuration change, or there's a new wing of the hospital that needs to be facilitized with or upgraded the network on. So minis would go and uncover any types of issues and bubble it up before the doctors and patients and users come on board onto that network. And so this is yet another example of how, again, this compute power and the technology behind the AIOps that Juniper delivers is allowing us to deliver these types of really cool innovations that, again, simplify the operations for our end users and deliver the network experience for their users, the doctors, the patients.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. And it's kind of funny because you mentioned the analogy you had around the cloud and the power of the cloud. Turned the light on for me because I just thought cloud this, cloud that, whatever. But now that you kind of use that analogy, I see the power of the cloud and how it does help all this stuff. But you also mentioned modernization. I heard you mention the word COBOL, which brings me way back. So how does Juniper Mist integrate with existing federal IT systems and security protocols that may be God knows how old?
Well, the way that it does so is that it helps to drive this notion of zero trust innately. I mentioned the network access control, which is also delivered through the cloud, where you set the policies in the same environment within the Mist infrastructure, within the Mist UI, that defines what access certain users have, whether it's a guest who's visiting a patient in the hospital, or the doctor or the nurses who need to access important information about the patients. And so all of this sort of guides the approach of that policy, that zero trust network access policy. And the beauty of it is that it's so simple. You don't have to deploy these on-premises devices in conventional network access control solutions from other vendors. So the fact that all of this is integrated in the cloud makes it so much easier to operate and focus on what those policies should be. Not only that, the AI is also constantly and it's always looking at the type of traffic that's flowing on the network. We have this concept of switch anomalies. And so if a switch port, it's always scanning the type of traffic that's happening on every port on the network. If a port all of a sudden starts to exhibit behavior, spikes in traffic, lulls in the type of traffic that it's supposed to have, it would automatically flag that as a possible anomaly. And so this is a means by which we can start to protect and bubble up right away to the IT teams that, hey, something's amiss here. There might be a compromised port. Maybe somebody plugged in a device that wasn't validated to be on that network. And so there are lots of ways that we integrate with the existing environment to ensure that, using zero trust principles, we can isolate malicious actors or attacks, and we can also sort of get control in an easy, centralized way through a common cloud.
Wow. Well, so what's next for AIOps in the federal space? I mean, how do you see it evolving over the next 3 to 5 years? And what advice would you give federal IT leaders that are considering AIOps adoption?
Yeah. I would definitely invite everybody to continue to learn more about what's happening with this sort of AI revolution. And it's funny to me when I think about it, because once upon a time, electricity was like that. And now we just take electricity for granted. AI will be at that point eventually where we just take it for granted. It's just something that we know it operates in the background, and we definitely take advantage of its benefits. But it's going to be important for us to understand it in order to feel comfortable and trust it and start to adopt it. And of course, improve it as well. So it's going to take a bit of time for us to get on that journey together. And again, as I mentioned, AI is another evolution in the step of automation. It's a bit more advanced in that we're starting to mimic human behavior. We like to talk about Marvis, our AI assistant, as being an entry level, or like say you've just hired an intern on your team. As AI improves, that intern becomes at the level of an entry-level employee. And then after that, a seasoned network engineer, perhaps becoming an architect. And so what I invite is that our federal agencies should continue to explore and understand the ramifications and the benefits of AI so that they can adopt it in a very safe manner. Also, I recommend that you go and talk to the VA. Ask them about their experiences. Here's one of your peers. For example, you can talk to Jeff Sora, who's the CTO at the VA hospital, and he can give you a wealth of information and knowledge and experiences about his team's, learning and journey in terms of adopting Mist and what they would recommend and what they would, tell you. Ask for their stories. And of course, I would definitely recommend, as a next step, consider doing a proof of concept. Maybe start with a small space, maybe a problematic area in the network that you can spend the time and spare the resources to facilitate with a Mist network, and learn for yourself what you can experience and benefit from a network from Juniper. One thing that I failed to mention is that our solutions have been FedRAMP validated in moderate. And so this is a great foothold for Juniper to get into more federal agencies. And we have other security attestations if you're interested. We have SOC 2 Type 2. We have ISO 27001. And so all of these should give you confidence in our ability to deliver a really awesome AIOps solution from the cloud that can fit your federal needs.
Wow, well, that's a great place to end today's episode. But thank you very much, Tarek, for sharing your expertise and illuminating how AIOps and Juniper Mist in particular are driving meaningful transformation across federal agencies. I mean, today's discussion, it underscores that adopting artificial intelligence isn't just a trend. It's a critical step for agencies committed to greater efficiency, security, and resilience. So if you're ready to accelerate your agency's IT modernization journey, connect with Wildflower International today. To learn how our partnership with Juniper Networks and our expert technical resources can help you implement an AIOps solution. or solutions tailored to your mission's needs. I mean, our team, along with Juniper's team, are eager to support your agency every step of the way, from strategy to deployment to ongoing optimization. Don't miss this opportunity to unlock the full benefits of AI-driven operations and elevate your IT infrastructure. Reach out now. Schedule a consultation, request more information, whatever. All the contact information we left here, you'll see it. We would eagerly appreciate the opportunity to work with you. Again, we've got friends with Juniper, friends all over the place. We've got internal resources, external resources. We can help you walk you down the journey of AIOps or any other AI platform you want to talk about. Thanks again. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.